The following is a presentation of TFNN. Mindful Living with Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Namaste, everybody. It's Allie Ford here with Mindful Living, where it is our mission to help you get healthy, feel good, and live life to the fullest every single day. Thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful Wednesday, this Wellness Wednesday in Tampa Bay at 87 degrees. And of course, that means we got a little break from the heat this week. And I hope that you are all settling back in after a lovely long weekend, a long, fabulous Labor Day weekend. I want to start the show off with a note of congratulations and celebration to my best friend Claudia in Denver, who just texted me a picture of her completion of 19 rounds of chemotherapy. Her whole family is standing in a huge circle around her, releasing balloons into the air, and they happen to be from Mexico, and the caption reads, "Adios, cancer." I'm so proud of you, Claudia. I love you with all my heart and soul. Onwards and upwards, my friend. And to my listeners who have anyone in their life, in your life, who might be battling cancer or any other disease, stay strong for them, stay positive, and help them focus on healing. They need you to help lift them up. As I said, I hope you had a lovely and restful, long Labor Day weekend with your loved ones, and that you have returned refreshed and relaxed and renewed and restored. And I hope that you can maintain some of those feelings and mindset as you settle back into your work week and into your routine during your days. You know, more people have told me that this weekend they chose to have a quote-unquote staycation, and rather than plan an elaborate holiday or travel, they chose to stay home instead and just relax or get caught up on things, and or they chose to stay near their home. And that is exactly what my family chose to do as well. And I have to tell you, it was the best idea ever, because I travel so much for work. I'm on the road a lot, and while I feel so very blessed to do what I do, and that is teach and speak about yoga and meditation and mindfulness and help people find ways to beat stress and improve their health. It is such an amazing life calling, and I'm proud and honored to do it. I still sometimes long to just be home, you know, in my home with my family and my kids, and just have a home-cooked meal or kick our feet up and chit-chat or snuggle on the couch. So this past weekend, we actually chose to visit a really small, quaint, and quiet, beautiful island just a couple hours south of Tampa Bay. The island is called Don Pedro Island, and it is so amazing. You know, Florida is full of these special treats and just little sweet spots that you could really spend a lifetime exploring. Don Pedro is only accessible via a ferry. Now, it's a very short ferry ride, maybe 30 seconds. It's just that they never built a bridge across the intercoastal from the mainland of Florida to the barrier island, which this island is. And so you load your car onto a car ferry and make the 30-second trek to the other side, get off and drive to the hotel. There's only one resort on the entire island, or the house that you've rented to stay. And from the rest of the weekend, most of the houses, if not all of them, have golf carts, and none of the roads are even paved. So to get around, you ride golf carts everywhere. It is such a dream. I felt like I was in the Bahamas, and we're talking, it's literally 2 hours south of Tampa Bay. We had so much fun. We'd wake up in the morning. Our house was on the intercoastal. There was a dock there, so we'd go down and fish or go kayaking, paddleboarding. Our house happened to have a swimming pool, so we'd either, you know, relax by the swimming pool or go down to the beach and play in the sand and swim in the ocean, which is just magnificent. Crystal blue water. and just connected with each other or reconnected with each other over relaxed time and delicious meals. We actually were down there with some friends, and it was just such a wonderful time to check in, focus on, and just soak up that precious time with my family, which is what mindfulness is all about. You know, oftentimes going on vacation actually helps to remind us to be mindful, to pause and look around and take in our surroundings and the people in our lives rather than rushing from A to Z, during which we miss so much in the process. And sometimes that's easier when you're on vacation because everything's new. But ultimately, with mindfulness practice, that's how we can be each and every single day. And that is fully present and awake to our experiences in life, to notice our environment and surroundings, even those that we are in every single day. It's just the remembering part of that equation that can be a little bit of a challenge, because when we get busy, it can be very easy to forget that while we may wake up and enter autopilot mode and do things sort of robotically, nothing is ever the same. Everyone and everything around us is always changing. We just have to open our eyes. We just have to open our hearts and our ears and tune in and see it. And just think of it. If you approach your life that way, not one day should ever be boring, because there's always something new going on. And if you have children, notice how they wake up in the morning. You know, what's on their minds, or how you make their breakfast or their lunch. Is it with rushed stress and worry, or is it with the intention of loving care and sweet energy? Remember, we talk about that we're all energy, and every thought, every word, every action has energy behind it. So when you're making your children's lunches or breakfast, what kind of energy are you putting into it? Or, you know, your spouses, for that matter, or your partner. How are you waking up to that person? Or you can become completely aware of the route that you take to work or to school. And if you have time, maybe take a new route. You know, take in something different, take in something new. If you take the same route, there are always new things to notice and be aware of. And then practice bringing a loving, compassionate attitude to whatever is happening in your life, whether it's easy or challenging. And this is the other part of mindfulness that can take some time to cultivate, and that is be a neutral observer or witness of your experiences. You might tend to judge something as easy and sweet and wonderful. And if we're quick to do that, sometimes we don't want to let that go. We want to hold on to that experience that's happening. And when it ends, sometimes that can be painful. So to observe. And then if something's really challenging, be present with it. Observe it. Yeah, this feels challenging right now. But that moment of awareness to say, hey, this feels challenging right now, rather than this is awful, I can't do this. It helps give us that space to make a better choice so that we're not so reactive in our life and we don't become those adverse or negative emotions. So it's with a certain attitude, because it's that attitude with which we approach the events in our lives that can either make them more sweet if they're pleasant, or more manageable if they are challenging. And if you feel yourself feeling stuck in a rut, or feeling in sort of a robotic, mundane routine, all you need to do to wake yourself up is change things up a bit. That's all it takes. As I said, drive a new route to work, or go for a walk in the morning. Try cooking a new meal. Play a new sport. Sign up for those salsa lessons you've always wanted to take. That's me talking. I need to sign up for my dance lessons. Or listen to different music, or sign up for a class on something you've always wanted to learn. Spanish, history, yoga, and meditation would be a lovely choice, because our brain has the infinite capacity to learn new things and create new neural pathways every day, new attitudes, the ability to change and grow. So why not start right now? Choose to create your day in a new way with fresh energy, and then pause and notice how you feel when you take that moment, that opportunity to change things up a bit. I bet you'll feel a little less stuck and a little bit more excited about your day and about life in general. Try it and let me know how it goes. Remember, you can email me at Allie@allieford.com, or you can tweet me at Allie _Ford_yoga. Now, speaking of learning new things, I have many opportunities for you to join me to get healthy and well for the remainder of this year and on into 2015. And I'd like to invite you to join me for a yoga workshop or a yoga intensive to dive into the practice of yoga, meditation, and mindfulness, and to learn more about the rich history of these practices and about the purpose for the practices, and deepen your overall understanding of how to safely incorporate them into your life over a lifetime for health and wellness. Of course, my programs are also accredited by the International Governing Body of Yoga Schools as a teacher training program. And if you have any inclination to teach yoga or to move into health and wellness sector and share these gifts with other people in your lives, whether it's as a profession or as a hobby, you will learn the necessary skills to do so in my programs. So you'll learn how to teach yoga, how to cue postures, how to communicate the messages, and understand anatomy and safe movement and alignment in bodies of all types, shapes, and sizes. And you'll learn how to do that safely and confidently and effectively. I personally have graduates teaching yoga all over the world, specializing in many, many different areas, from children's yoga to gentle and restorative yoga to yoga for seniors. And you can, as I said, you'll learn to help manage illness and injury. So if you have a special niche that you are drawn to in teaching these practices and you want to volunteer, I have many people doing that around the world. And in fact, later in the show, we're going to be talking to one of my graduates who is the co-director of a beautiful organization that is helping orphans around the world find hope and find food and homes. And that organization is called Khusi, Hona. So we'll be talking with Emily Carroll a little bit later in the show about her inspiring journey to helping orphans in the world. So it is a joy to see graduates of my program out in the world flourishing and growing and spreading the news and message of health and wellness, because it is our God-given right to be healthy and to be well. It's simply a choice we have to make to move in that direction in our life and just become aware of how we're living, to be more mindful of the food that we're choosing, and are we exercising every day, and how's stress in our life. We've talked a lot about that on our show, and stress is a very real problem in today's world, but there are methods to manage stress. And I encourage you to look back at our archives. Go to TFNN.com, our website, and check out the Mindful Living Show archives, where we've interviewed many, many specialists in different areas of health and who've given very helpful tips on how to manage stress and to improve health with holistic natural products. So I've got events coming up in 2015 right here in Tampa Bay, in Clearwater, in Greenville, South Carolina, in Louisiana, Shreveport, Louisiana, and I'll be teaching my first program ever in northern Florida in the Panhandle in Panama City, which I'm very excited to visit. I remember visiting Panama City as a child, and I haven't been back there since I was probably 10 years old. And I just remember the beaches being absolutely gorgeous, spectacular white powder beaches with crystal blue water, and I cannot wait to get up there. So check out the events that I have coming up on my website at www.allieford.com. Now, I want to also tell you about a really wonderful event coming up here in October in Tampa Bay, and that is Rasa Leela Yoga Festival. Rasa is R-A-S-A, Leela is L-I-L-A, and this is actually Tampa Bay's first big yoga festival. It's been happening for the last few years, and it is fabulous. Teachers from all over Tampa Bay, and actually some teachers from out of town, come to lead all kinds of different classes, different types of yoga, chanting, meditation. There'll be musicians there. There will be merchants there with all kinds of products for sale, from delicious holistic food to natural body products, and to products you may need for yoga or meditation, even clothing. You'll meet some fabulous people, all with like minds, who are there to get healthy and practice yoga together. And I encourage you to check out their website at rasaleelafest.org. Stay with me. I'll be back with more Mindful Living after the break.
In quiet markets, investors search for new trading opportunities. We'd like to introduce you to a new product that provides opportunities even in flat markets. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a new and innovative Chicago-based exchange registered with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their trading platform. Nadex never charges a fee to use their platform, which even includes real-time charts and full customization capability. Nadex's unique short-term binary options allow traders and investors to capitalize on strategies even when the underlying markets are quiet. Nadex's innovation has allowed them to come up with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com, or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
We're told to follow our passion and everything else will fall into place. I hope that's what each of you are doing each and every day. Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Money Master Show at TFNN.com, and my passion for technical analysis is what led me to the most fundamental discovery in pattern recognition, the Rhodes Momentum Indicator, market scanner, and trading strategy. A set of tools that identify the momentum and power of the trend, the likes of which have never been seen before, for every market and every time frame. Yes, folks, the trend is your friend, unless you're on the other side. New to technical analysis? This is the place to start. And experienced traders take advantage of the trend like never before. Experience the power of the Rhodes Momentum Indicator each day, available to subscribers of my newsletter service, Mastering Probability. I guarantee your satisfaction for the next 30 days unconditionally, so there's no risk to you other than being on the wrong side of the trend. Mastering Probability, available on the homepage of TFNN.com. And folks, live with passion.
No matter where you listen to TFNN programming, we want you to know you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV to our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones and iPads, located at the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can't use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a mobile connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all of our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and radio call and talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not here. What are you doing right now? Mindful Living with Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
Welcome back to Mindful Living, everybody. I am Allie Ford, and ladies or fellas with a special lady in your life for whom you need to buy a gift, I have to tell you, I am trying a new mascara called Moodstruck 3D Fiber Lashes from uniqueproducts.com, and never before have my eyelashes looked so dramatically long and beautifully thick. I feel like Snuffleupagus with these lashes. I remember I once read in an interview with Carrie Underwood that she'll sometimes wear 8 layers of mascara before going on stage. Let me tell you, she needs Moodstruck 3D Fiber Lashes from Unique Products. That's Unique spelled with Y-O-U, as in you need to try these lashes. They'll easily become your favorite go-to tool in your makeup kit. So you can find out more at uniqueproducts.com and check out the Moodstruck 3D Fiber Lashes. Now, if you tuned in a couple weeks ago, Tom and I discussed mindful parenting, and we were joined by guest Lindsay Baumstein, who's a life coach, who shared with us some really helpful tips for incorporating mindfulness practice with your children. Part of that discussion was how to teach yoga to children. And so I wanted to continue that conversation tonight because we didn't have enough time to get into some of the details about both the benefits and the potential risks of teaching yoga to children. This movement is on the rise. A lot of people really interested in teaching yoga to children. It is moving into schools and has been at a very rapid pace for many, many years now. But it's important that you approach teaching yoga to children from the right perspective, with the right attitude, and that you're aware of some potential risks, or what not to do, I should say, when you're teaching children yoga. Now, first of all, the benefits of teaching yoga to children are immense, and those include teaching them calming techniques to help counter the stress and pressure of life at an early, eager age. Remember, children are excited to learn new things and really curious what you have to offer them. So I say eager because they're really interested in learning and exploring new things and doing some old things new ways. You can also introduce to children what being healthy really means. And of course, you'll address it from both a physical perspective, feeling good, feeling well, eating correctly, and also from how they're feeling in their heart, where true joy is born and what that means. You can teach them relaxation techniques, so when they're feeling antsy, and this is a little bit different from stress management, which we talked about calming techniques when they're feeling stressed or worried. Relaxation techniques can be really helpful for children who might have a lot of energy and a really difficult time calming down or settling down, particularly when they really need to, like at their desk in school. Let's face it, a lot of children have struggles with this, and I like to call these children wiggly children. A lot of children have just higher levels of energy, and that's not a bad thing. These are typically children who are interested in the outdoors and exploring and, athletics and playing sports and just like to be really active. It's just unfortunate some schools don't really have methods or means to support those types of children. And so teaching them some relaxation techniques, things that they can do to settle their energy down until they can go outside and run around at a more appropriate place to let that energy go. Children can also learn body awareness through yoga. And by that I mean, moving different parts of the body, contracting different muscles in the body, particularly the core muscles, to support their spine, what it's like to sit upright, to have good posture. I always reflect back to my childhood. My father would always yell at me, "Allison, sit up straight. Roll your shoulders back. Stop being so lazy." And, yoga has really helped me finally become aware of what he meant. For many years, I thought I was sitting up straight. I thought my head was stacked on top of my neck. But for years, it was actually hanging forward, and my shoulders were rounded forward. So you can bring children's awareness to their posture through yoga, and you can teach them how to listen to their body, right? To take motions and movements that actually feel good to them, that feel healthy, You'll hear, and I've experienced this with children, in both my own children and then in yoga class. You'll be teaching a posture, and as I said, children are eager to learn and try new things. And you have to get them to sort of reel themselves back and go slowly, because once in a while you'll hear a child do something that might be pushing themselves too far, and they'll go, "Ouch!" and ha ha ha, it's a laugh. And it's our job as teachers to bring their awareness to that. Ouch. Oh, why'd you say that? What did you feel? And to start helping them listen to their bodies. In addition to that, you can teach them self-confidence. This goes for both children and adults. Any adult that has tried yoga will tell you when they learn a new posture, like standing on one foot in tree pose, and they can hold it for 1 breath. That's an accomplishment. With practice, maybe you learn to hold it for 3 breaths. That's an accomplishment. Maybe it goes up to 5. So you can help children learn to try new things without judgment, and be willing to fall down if they have to in a safe way, and be willing to get right up again, and be proud of themselves for trying. Of course, they'll learn many physical skills. They'll improve their strength and flexibility slowly over time, as I said. Yoga is very helpful for balance, and if you have children or have been around children and see them try to stand on one foot, you'll see balance is something that's definitely acquired or developed over time. And of course, coordination. And all of this happens in a non-competitive physical environment, as opposed to, not that I'm bashing sports. Both my children play sports, and I think it's important to learn how to foster a competitive nature, a healthy competitive nature, and be okay with winning and losing. But specifically in yoga, the physical attributes are developed in a non-competitive way and in a really safe environment to give new things a try. And so it fosters acceptance of self and of others, to really cheer for others when they give something a try, whether or not it is quote unquote a success. We praise the effort in yoga and not perfection. So this fosters non-judgment of self and, of course, of others. And it teaches children how to work together and be cooperative, working together as a team. Yoga also helps to develop concentration, which is something that is very interesting in children because younger children can have shorter attention spans, not always, not to overgeneralize, but having children focus on a sound, which we'll talk about, or on a picture, or creating a sound with their own voice, or on their breath, can all be lovely ways to teach concentration, to foster the ability to pay attention, which of course is also another really important skill that translates into every part of life, especially in school. And many yoga postures are named after things in nature. So you can think of dog poses or snake poses, tree poses. You even have pyramid pose, things named after shapes. And so it can help children develop a connection and respect, a connection to and a respect for the environment and to the world around them. So there are many different ways to incorporate some of the deeper lessons of life into teaching yoga for children. How does it feel to have a pet, or to be, what does an excited dog look like? How do they act? An eager dog who is very friendly. And so there are lots of really lovely ways to bring in lessons when you're teaching yoga and to help foster that connection to each other and to the environment. So, I recently released my new children's book, and it's entitled Garuda, the Eagle Who Soared with Ahimsa. And just yesterday, I had the opportunity to film the children's yoga class that goes along with the story. And it was so much fun. So the entire book can be acted out in a yoga class. The story is about an eagle named Garuda who would normally eat other animals but decides instead to practice ahimsa, which in Sanskrit or in English means non-harming. So this is a yoga lesson that we learn, and that is to be kind to others, to treat them with love and kindness, and not to harm other beings or other things. And this eagle, Garuda, goes on a journey seeking friendship. So this book was a labor of love that was born from my teaching yoga classes to elementary school children. And they were really the inspiration for this book, because this story was a creation from our classes. And I decided to write it down. And I have to say, relearning how to both practice and teach yoga through the eyes of a child was one of the most rewarding, exciting, fun, and interesting challenges I have ever faced. Children are creative, willing to explore, imaginative, and willing to move freely in their bodies, willing to take a risk. In general, you do find some children who tend toward perfection, and you just have to help support these children as well. Be willing to be free and have fun. But in general, altogether, the children move and dance and play. Now, when teaching children yoga, it's different. So if you are a parent or an adult who has tried yoga, just know that it's going to be different, and to let down any expectations, let them go, that is. So you walk in with a completely open mind and be willing to be flexible. So I'll tell you, the first time I walked in to teach yoga to children, I had a plan. It was written down, and nothing went according to plan. We had to take breaks now and then, and we had to extrapolate on certain ideas. Upward facing dog pose was for one breath, and we had to howl at the moon. Downward facing dog pose, the children got to choose what kind of dog they wanted to be, and everyone got to bark the way that their favorite dog or the type of dog that they chose to be would bark. We made all the animal noises, and again, it was really helpful to create a journey or a story to go on, because that helps the children stay involved in the practice. In general, the physical movement rarely lasted more than 30-45 minutes, with the breaks included, or we always had a beginning, a middle, and an end. So a come together meeting, and then a middle where we'd come together, and then an end. So I have lots of ideas to share with you. Go to my website, aliford.com, to find out more about my book, and we'll cover more on children's yoga upcoming.
You take a hands-on approach to managing your investment strategy. You're always looking for the next trading opportunity to magnify your perspective. Direction Shares connects sophisticated traders with a powerful array of ETFs from a wide range of asset classes. The markets may go up and down, and you want tools for both sides of the trade. Discover how we can help at DirectionShares.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction Shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction Shares at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors employing dynamic strategies. Investors in the fund should understand the consequences of seeking daily investment results, understand the risk of shorting, and intend to actively monitor and manage their investments. Distributor, Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Who says you can't take it with you? TFNN says you can. With your mobile device and TFNN's live radio streams, TFNN has put it all in the palm of your hands. No special apps to download. No subscription fees for live radio or Tiger TV streams. We say you can.
Now let's go over to the dollar, because the dollar is going to be the generator. It is the generator of basically higher dollar, lower market. And what the dollar has done, and this whole uptrend, folks, has just gone sideways. The way it works, folks, is this.
We say you can. The Tiger Financial News Network. Smart investors and professional traders know you can. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Life is a mystery to be lived, not a problem to be solved. Mindful Living with Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
Welcome back to Mindful Living, everybody. Just want to share some tips and some risks that you'll want to be aware of when teaching children's yoga. So we talked a lot about the benefits for yoga for children and helping them develop many, many lifelong skills. When you're planning your children's yoga class, be sure and plan a class that's appropriate for your age group. The younger children need ways to hold their attention for longer periods of time. So when you're acting out your story, you can have them make noises that would mimic the animal poses that you're doing. You could even incorporate artwork before or after the class, and you can even bring in instruments and teach them yoga songs or yoga chants or other songs that you love to sing and have them cooperate musically together. So just bring in the things that you love to do and that you're confident about and that, you know, you want to be a child. Allow yourself to play and have fun with the children. Now, the American Yoga Institute posted this caution, quote, yoga exercises are not recommended for children under 16 because their body's nervous and glandular systems are still growing, and the effect of yoga exercises on these systems may interfere with natural growth. So as with adults, we must teach children to listen to their bodies. As the teacher of children's yoga, there should be no pushing and no pain. So it should be fun-spirited and it should be free, right? No deep yoga postures. Avoid anything that applies too much pressure to the spine, headstands, shoulder stands. Instead, have them sit and be on their feet and be playful. So no really deep yoga postures or postures that could potentially have them fall down and get hurt. Have them move slowly, as my teacher Patabi Joyce always said, slowly, to build both strength and flexibility over time. We want to avoid hearing that, ow, when you ask a child to do a posture. Right? Because even though children are willing to move freely, it doesn't necessarily mean that their bodies don't have natural limitations. Avoid having children hold their breath. It can be very helpful to teach them breath retention, meaning extending the breath by chanting, saying Om out loud to teach them to take a deeper breath to make that sound last. But never have a child hold their breath. Instead, have them just learn to take a nice full breath. Overall, children's yoga can be so much fun. So have fun when you're teaching or introducing yoga to children. Now, speaking of children, I'm being joined by a graduate of mine who is doing fantastic, wonderful work in the world. Her name is Emily Carroll, and she's the co-director with Khusi Hona, who's helping orphans around the world find hope. Emily, welcome to the show.
Hi, Allie. It's finally good to speak with you again.
I know. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm here in St. Augustine, relaxing a little bit because it takes a lot to run a nonprofit.
Yeah, so I hear. You know, I have to say, I'm having so much fun keeping up with you online and hearing about all the amazing things you're doing, Emily. And I just have to say thank you for doing such amazing work in the world.
And a lot of thanks to our supporters. I mean, without them, Khusi Hona wouldn't exist. We have small attainable goals, and it's not something, you know, we ask a lot of people, but without Khusi Hona, I mean, I would lack a lot of happiness, and because of other people, I have happiness, and we're all one, and so it works that way.
Beautiful. You know, I have to say, apologies, I was pronouncing the name of the organization incorrectly. Khusi Hona, and the website.
It's pronounced differently everywhere.
Okay.
Some people say Khusi Hona, some people say Khusi Hona. It's however you want to say it, just spell it correctly when you put it in the website.
Great, and that is KHUSIHONA.org. So it's awesome to hear that you're here in Florida, because I know you're a world traveler and spending a lot of time overseas now doing your work. How did you get involved with Khusi Hona?
My best friend, Matthew Van Royen, he's the director. He wasn't happy in his job. He's not the type of person that is a dog-eat-dog world, and his parents are missionaries, and they said, well, be happy, do something that makes you happy. And originally he wanted to go to South Africa, back home. He's an African-American, white African-American. It's kind of odd.
Yeah. But it's true, from Africa.
And, well, he sat me down one day and he said, I want to do this. And he didn't even have the name yet. And somebody said, Matthew, look into India. And India has about 66 million orphan and abandoned children. And if you look statistically online, you're going to find a lower number than that, because you're going to find a number for orphan children, not abandoned. There's a lot of street children. And I said, Matthew, I'm on board with you. And 2 years in, we have about a little over 1,000 kids. We're in 2 countries. We're looking to expand, but it takes time and more support.
Of course.
We were blessed with 10,000 acres of land in Delhi from a doctor that I met on the plane there.
Oh, Emily, that's wonderful.
Yeah, we would love to create a model orphanage if anybody wanted to go out and build orphanages out in the world for other children, because there's so many abandoned children in impoverished countries. And the sad thing about, I wouldn't say it's sad, about India is 90% of the orphans are girls, and it's because girls are a burden in India. It costs so much to marry them off, and so the parents just give them up. I had once a family say, take my daughter, you know, handing me their baby, and that's just a first-class ticket to jail. And I'm like, please, let's keep it, you know, on Facebook. If you want me to take her when she's 18, you know, I can do that. But, you know, don't get rid of her, you know.
Yeah. And so this is a family that just approached you where? In the street?
We were in a bus. We were sharing a bus going up to Rishikesh to meet our children in Ramana's Garden, where we spent a couple weeks doing fencing. We raised funds to do fencing for their garden. And we have small attainable goals because that's all it takes to help them. So in India, all they may really need is some solar panels or a toilet, and it makes life a little easier. It gives them a little bit of hope to want to live.
Right.
Because when you look around and you see so much poverty, you think, what's the purpose?
Yeah.
and just being there. And that's what we do. We give a lot of hope. In the background, we have gotten a girl in college. She lives in Boston now, and she's going off to college. And she's with a family, and she'll end up going back to India and, helping her country out. We're in the process of solarizing 40 orphanages in Andhra Pradesh because a lot of India is ran by the mafia, and being on the grid can be a very dangerous thing, especially with these children.
Yeah.
And the orphanages we work with, we're very particular about being seeing their finances and seeing that they're good, wholesome people. And we look at the children and say, are the children happy? Because happiness is a learned trait. You treat people the way you want to be treated. If the children are running up to you and hugging you, say, their caretakers are good to them. Because a lot of the orphanages, especially state-run orphanages, are businesses. And Matthew has told me stories, and I haven't seen it, of children being put into pens, 2-year-olds, just to gather them together. Babies crying, they're beaten, they're crying in the corners. And we want to help, but we don't want to encourage that because we know that the money is not going to go to the children, and 100% of everyone's donation goes towards that project. And Matthew's on ground. He's making sure, taking photos, being there, getting volunteers to come out and all of these things. And I do a lot of the state-based operations because it's basically Matthew, I, our supporters, and we have some lovely, lovely girls in Tampa that have taken over a lot of my responsibilities and are becoming, chief happiness officers of their own.
Right.
And I'm able to take a step back and say, Matthew, what more can I do on a bigger scale?
You're right. The statistics, the number of orphans in India is staggering, and I've seen it myself, having visited there to study. And I'm curious, so just to clarify, when you say you guys are helping orphans now, are you building your own centers, or you are also finding orphanages that you can support?
Currently, as 2 years old, we are finding orphanages to support. It takes, from what I'm told, about 6 years before we're validated as Khusi, Hona, India in order to get funds and do everything legally.
Okay.
Because we don't want to have someone come from the government and say, hey, you did this wrong, pay me.
Yeah.
We are very blessed with a chief officer that works. He has his own orphanage, 100,000 kids. He said anything you need will help. And we have a doctor that is very wholesome. He does everything by the book, and he is guiding us unbelievably. He just believes in us so much, and I don't know where these people came from, but we sat next to each other on a plane, and he invited me to his home, and, he took us in and said, have you thought about building your own orphanage? And we said, yeah, of course, but we're only a year old. We're a baby. Yeah. We want to make sure we have enough money for the children in case something happens to us.
Well, it sounds like,
don't make it?
I think it's amazing because that happens when it's supposed to. I believe that was God's will. When you set your mind on a plan or a destiny in life, and it's right in your heart. Yes.
Yes.
Purity in heart, then doors open, and that sounds like a big door that opened for you guys. It's really wonderful to hear that. So what are some of the other services you're providing for the orphanages, or now are you helping individual children at these places, or the orphanage in general altogether?
So it depends what the orphanage needs, because we go there and we say, what do you need?
Okay.
Because we want our supporters to know we rarely do general stuff except for an orphanage that we have in Nepal with 29 boys, and sometimes they really just need food.
Wow.
And that's general. So if an orphanage needs blood test ran to see how the children's health are, then we're helping all the kids. Tuition fees. One day we got a phone call from an orphanage saying, I'm just going to say Little Timmy. Little Timmy broke his arm, and we really need to get him a cast. So that's what we do. We raise funds within 3 days, and we send the money forward, and we get them a cast.
And
so
you mentioned that Matthew is oftentimes on the ground with these children and taking photos of things that you guys are doing to send.
Matthew's always there. He's like, Khusi Hona is his girlfriend, and these are all of his kids. Matthew and I joke, and we say we have 1,000 children together. We're stuck together for life.
That's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. He is drawn to this. He's doing something that really matters. So then if you volunteer or, donate through your website, then you guys keep in touch with the donors and send photos of showing where their money goes? Is that what you're saying?
Well, if you follow us on Facebook or Instagram, you'll see when we finally deliver the money, because there was one time we raised money for propane. We have 100 kids in Darjeeling, and they're ran by an orphanage that used to be an orphan, and they were cooking on sticks. And it's really hard to cook for 100 kids on sticks and fire.
Right.
And Matthew hand delivers the money because there's a lot of corruption in India.
Right.
To the point that he has to make sure that 100% of the donations go there. So Matthew and I've been doing all of my work for free. I'm too shy to ask for a sponsorship. Matthew does all of his sponsoring. I'm just like, I'm happy the way I am. I would rather be in India with Matthew. I miss him so much, but God has made it for me to be in Tampa or to be in the States, because selfishly, Matthew, I thought, I want to be in India with Matthew,
Right.
We want to be together, but it's just Matthew and I and a bunch of volunteers, lovely, lovely volunteers. And, certain events happened in my life, and I was remaining in Tampa. And I thought, wow, I need to be in Tampa. I'm that U.S.-based person, I'm not a volunteer, because Matthew always said, Emily's a volunteer, and then someone said, no, Emily's not a volunteer. She runs this with you. And he's like, yeah, I know, but it's so hard to say that for me to accept something as a big role, because I just always said, I'm a volunteer.
Right.
I don't want people to look at me and say, wow, you do so much, I can't do what you do. And it's like, I just started from the bottom, and I accepted this into my life as a mission. And I have life plans as far as money's concerned. I have a life mission, which is just to bring peace and happiness to children, because they are the future. And if we don't start somewhere, then we're going to lose our beautiful planet, and I don't want that.
Yeah, it's true. The children that you're helping can do great things. So I'm looking at your website and how to get involved for volunteers. There are several ways listed. It says donate online, purchase goods from your online marketplace. What kinds of things can you find in the marketplace?
Well, right now, because we're still so small, Matthew is coming home with a bunch of Indian merchandise.
Okay.
We try to look for fair trade, and we try to look for it being made by women that are saved from the sex slave industry.
Sure.
So it's limited base. When we have it, it'll be online, and when we run fundraising parties, then we'll have it there for you to be there. But if you emailed us and asked if we had a trinket of some sort, I'm sure Matthew could call me and say, this person really wants something, and I don't mind going out of my way, picking something out and sending out a random gift.
Sure.
Even if they just want to support and they're like, I don't know what I want. It's like, well, tell me a little bit about yourself, and we can work this out. Do you like pants? Do you like, tapestries? Do you like lights? And that helps a lot, and we sell it at because in India a lot of things cost for a pair of pants, it's like $1,
Right,
but
of course.
Matthew always says, Emily, how much are you worth? And I'm like, I'm priceless. What do you mean, how much am I worth? I can't put a price on it. I just give people my stuff. He's like, no, we have to run an organization. We have to help the kids. And I'm the dreamer. He's a realist. And that's how we balance each other out.
That's a great partnership. Tell me about the weekly feature on your website.
So the weekly feature is, when we are with the children, or when Matthew gets a phone call from an orphanage and says we need toilets or we need mosquito nets, and there's certain things we keep up with, tuition fees. Every week, it's a small attainable goal of between $100 and $350, and we're just trying to help the orphanages the ones that we're connected with that remained a strong partnership that prove that the money is going to all the right places. And we just help with that. So if you believe that it would be nice to have a toilet for children, and Matthew's like, Emily, don't speak about that. I'm like, you have no idea how nice it is to have a toilet.
Well, the simple pleasures that you take for granted when you haven't seen how many other people in the world live, it can be shocking. So believe me, I understand. And
yeah, when I went to India and I came back to the States, I lived in a beautiful 1,100 square foot treehouse, and I was thinking to myself, what am I doing here? Mm-hmm. You know, like, I'm so thankful for this, but I'm ready to give it up. And I am just happy the way I am, and it's so hard for people to understand. How are you so satisfied? Yeah. And I've been to 24 countries, 6 continents. I'm versed in 10 languages, so I can speak to people through a dictionary and body language, and I understand their pain. And I was like, you know, I live in the land of the free. Wow.
Right.
Like, I have friends that I can call on and say, hey, can I crash on your couch? You know, I'm moving, I'm doing this. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. You look in India and you'll see people sleeping on the ground of the bank store, and their family lives 1,000 miles away, and they won't see them, but they're going to work every day, and you become the most grateful person alive. And it's perspective. You have to go there and see it. It's not just a story I can tell and you can say, oh, I understand. It's something you go and you see the pain, you feel it, you cry it out. Yeah. You know, Rumi says, the philosopher Rumi says, the wound is where the light enters. So spiritual development, you know, your soul growing, you growing as a person, understanding and accepting life for what it is, you have to see pain. Mm-hmm. And I don't watch the news because I already know. It hurts so much to watch the news, and I cry. Mm-hmm. And my father says, why don't you watch the news? I said, Papa, it's depressing. Like, I see that. I've been around the world. You know, I lived in Africa. I know what it's like to see a dead body in the streets, and coming back to America. And I always tell people, don't hate the country you come from. Mm-hmm. It took me a very long time because I would come back and I would think it's not fair. Mm-hmm. It's not fair that there's no trash on our roads. It's not fair that, you know, one thing I love about India is that there's monkeys everywhere. Yeah. You know, one thing I wish the States had was, like, monkeys everywhere rather than in the zoo. And to be like, don't look at the monkeys. You learn to live with the monkeys.
You learn to live with a lot of things in India. And I have to tell you, Emily, I'm so proud and honored to know you, and want to thank you sincerely for all the work that you're doing. And I know that what you're doing at Khusi Hona is inspiring so many people to get involved. And I want to encourage our listeners to go to the website, KhusiHona.org, and find a way to get involved. Donate time or services, or even just a tiny bit of money can mean so much to an orphan in so many other countries. So, Emily, thank you for being with me tonight.
All right. Thank you, Allie.
Take good care. So,
you too.
Thanks so much for joining me tonight.
I love you. I miss you.
I hope this story inspires you to get involved, to find a passion that you can get behind, stand behind. As Mother Teresa of Calcutta once said, we cannot all do great things, but we can all do small things with great love. Until next week, take good care. Namaste.
Namaste.
This is TFNN.